Hoseo.
Hoseo.
Good Cherokee greeting. Wave the great feather, hey, hey, for the good of it. Hey, hey. This Tuesday is going to be October 11th, and that is Indigenous Peoples Day. And that's really good because we really want people living here in the United States to know that Turtle Island is underneath of it, and Indigenous people mean that there is people here who have been here all along. And so this poem I'm about to read is written by Claudia Pokwak behind the camera there, in honor of Indigenous Peoples Day, October 11th, titled, Nature's Mystic Metaphor. From the shores of wild rice, I wash up on the California coast, seek voices cooled in scarred stone, and chants of bird song and wings. A wild rice grain from Lake Erie, caught between waves and stars, I'm free of gravity's net. The question, why am I here, muscles up like a mushroom through the asphalt. I follow curls of sweet grass and sage, join ancestral circles, spin sacred wheels of old worlds, renew in bears' dancing spirit, find deep faith in nature's revolving door, the upturned sunflower's mystic metaphor. Thank you, Claudia. So keep that in mind, throughout this talk, and I'll tell you in a minute what my theme is, but I'm going to start off right now. The full moon is coming up here on the eastern horizon, so summer moon, and this is my shield for it. Sorry. This is titled Hot Winds Moon. Season, summer, wind, mouse. Element, fire. Moon totem is trout, and the color is green. Starts with fire, dry grass, orange flames, gray-white smoke, hills now of ash, bare the point. All rocks showing their gray shapes. Point, rocky point. Point of upthrusting mountain. Right there, see her finger pointing. How sharp she looks, fingernail hooks, like scratching at an itch, stretching across the blue of sky. Stone still, yet moves the blue. Makes all move. Soundscan, takuskanskan, whatever has life and moves therein. Sky one, granite pebble, a trail fine with 2 points. Looks like white moon horns. Ha ha! The great white buffalo constellation of summer. His head is Dilyehi, the star points of the Pleiades. And way up here in the mountains, treetops, all points. New grasses, long and short, bend, sway, and rustle their points. Hilly curves curve around a mound. Born. Oh. There. Now with that introduction, my theme is the summer buffalo and the Ammonite. You say that right?
Ammonite.
Amulet.
Ammonite.
Ammonite. The Ammonite. It's my theme. And we'll start right off with looking up here to the top. And this is my centerpiece, you know, here, this is a buffalo in the dry summer grass. It's I've collected this. This is a photo print on canvas. So that's what we're looking at here, and the dry grass and all of that here. So that's overlooking this theme. Next thing we're going to say, a little bit of an anecdote. If a person has a dream of a buffalo, then that person is known as a bete win hambre, and that's the one I'm talking right now. That's me, like that. So we're starting out with me up in the mountains, walking along like that in a kind of light pine forest like we have up here in the hills, like that, and coming to a meadow, a clearing, a little grassy field like that. And on this side, it's bordered by a low fence that is a rough-hewed wood that's in the shape of what they call zigzag lightning here. So I'm standing here. And across the field, the grassy field over there where the trees are on the other side of this field, there is a group of men with full feathered bonnets. And they're sway singing. I think there's a drum, so they're sway singing. I'm not sure what the occasion is for the sway singing. It's a kind of restoration for different things. It's like that. Out here in the grassy field, there are a few little buffalo just around out there. But right here, more or less in front of me, out in the middle like that, there's another buffalo. This buffalo is what I call a blonde white buffalo. And there is a young man there playing with the buffalo, and he's attired only in dark trousers. And he's playing with this buffalo like you might see a man playing with a dog. Only, in this case, the buffalo is larger than a dog would be. I would think that it's a teenage buffalo, because he's not too heavy, because he's quite playful. He even one time jumps up on a man's back. That was very curious. I also noticed that this buffalo's horns were different. They were more like the corrugated roughness that you'd see on the ram's horn, like that. So eventually the man comes over to this side, and there's a couple of people over here to the side of me, and he seems to know who they are, and he's coming over to greet them. And when he gets about here, he turns to me with some word of recognition, and his arm, somehow really stretches out, and with his 4 fingers, he taps right here on my clavicle, and that suddenly energizes me, and he turns back to the couple that he was coming to see. Now that buffalo he was playing with comes over to me, and this blonde white buffalo lays its head here on my breast like that, and then starts nuzzling me, very strongly, nuzzle, nuzzle, nuzzle. Then he looks up at me, and then he turns his head sideways, and he shows me his horn is exactly in a circular shape, showing the fossil of an Ammonite. That was the end of the dream. The next day, I'm at our local Ambets thrift store, and it really is, lo and behold, I found this wrought iron candlestick with exactly the image on it of the fossil Ammonite. And you can look over here at that. Where are you? There we go. Can you see that? So that's really, really amazing, an amazing connection here. And I have this buffalo here, and look up here, this is a photograph by Vivian Oles of the buffalo up there somewhere in Northern California. And it's the same color. The Ammonite here is the same color, and it's all the same color. That's what I like to show. I can see here with this buffalo, in my dream, you can see here's his horn when he turned sideways, then you see his horn was right there. That Ammonite showed up right there. So, first of all, the name Ammonite is from Egypt. It's Ammon, Ammon. And the symbol of Ammon is this ram. So I have here this native stone carving of a ram here, mounted on a tuft of buffalo fur here, so you can see how that looks. Now, Ammon in Egypt, is mystery, invisible, just all kind of things like that that seems to all fit in with this name. The Ammonite is 480 million years old, is that right?
400 million.
Yeah, something like that. Really, really old, from the early period. So we come down here and look at this. This is a large Ammonite. Now the story behind this is the people are called Blackfeet Indian. They are the Sahisapa. They're called a Blackfeet because these people were running over a ground that, like prairie fire, that had been burned and it made the soles of their feet black. So that's why they're called the Blackfeet. A woman of the Blackfeet, long time ago, had an occasion of finding one of these stones. And this stone, however, conveyed to her what it was as a buffalo stone, and taught her some songs, and so it became a ceremony, a ritual. And so when the people wanted to attract the buffalo within their range, they appealed to this stone. This is really an Ammonite fossil here, and it's called a buffalo stone. Iniskim is what actually the people called it there. And that's how it got started in this culture or this tradition as a buffalo stone, is what you outright call it. And it is, appealed to somehow attract the buffalo. So you see the connection to the dream that I had with this wonderful piece here. And this is buffalo fur here in front of it. So that's a little bit of an anecdote, but for me it's very, very important here. Now we'll turn to something else here. You can look at this piece here. This is my shield. And what we have is the buffalo who never dies. And the buffalo who never dies had died, and all the buffalo had died with him. And a character, holy man Coyote, restored him. And then with that, and that's what we're doing now, we're bringing the buffalo back. That's what all my talks are about. And this character here, you see right here, this is called straight lightning. The straight lightning is a symbol of restoration. Most animals have it, and most of the chatways also have it, to restore to balance or something like that. So that's what the symbol is, and this is, an individual of the buffalo people, but I'm also including the buffalo who never dies, who is the son of the white buffalo. And here, as they start on his headpiece here, this is the red bonnet, or red feather bonnet, like that. And this is from the Chatway branch called Shooting Way, and it is for the buffalo who never dies. And it's an ingenious affair. It's folded. It's made of like buffalo rawhide kind of thing. It's ingeniously folded into this shape with the red feathers, so that he doesn't need to have horns because he has that. And then here, what else he's holding? This is a basket with jewels in it, a jeweled basket. And down here, this is a traveling hoop, and it's on this that the buffalo travels, on this hoop. And here in this hand, he's holding a buffalo hide rattle. So all of this, like this, and right here, this is the heart line or lifeline for the buffalo who never dies. And here on place of his feet, these are symbols of clouds. So all of this is so we can see that the buffalo also are a buffalo people, a nation, and we are very active throughout Native America in restoring the buffalo, bringing the buffalo back. So I really liked that I've created that for this. Over here, can we see this piece here? This is my drawing, and the eyes, you see, this I call this, the eyes of dawn. And the dawn that I'm really talking about is the very ancient dawn. This is stone. This is a quartzite stone that I found actually here in San Diego in Florida Canyon. It's really nicely shaped. This is a dawn stone, eolith, that's what it's called, an eolith. And so that's what I'm talking about with the eyes of dawn. 800,000 years, at least, that the scientists give to the appearance of the eolith here in San Diego. That means, somebody made this. But it also coincides with what the scientists say is the appearance of the buffalo here in Native America's Turtle Island. So the ancient buffalo, the eolith, in my drawing as that dawn, as to say, with each buffalo, we see that dawn looking through that buffalo to us. So all of these things here is to bring about a summation. When I go right here, this is Joy Harjo. And I'm going to read a poem by her. This is Joy Harjo. She's the daughter of Cherokee Creek people. She's from Oklahoma, like that. And when we go to the Poetry Festival 2 or 3 years ago, she was the guest poet. And here, this feather that I have here, coming from her, because it has a black square on it. And the black square is called the place of emergence. So I wanted to really note her that way. And the poem is going to be a poem for wind. So this piece here, this is a sand painting, a Navajo sand painting. And it's by LCT Yazzie. We were friends with the Yazzie family when we used to live in Arizona at Monument Valley. And this is the female wind way, chant way, like that. And each of these figures, ostensibly female, Ye is the Navajo word for deity. The Navajo language is also, at the root, related to Gaelic. So in Gaelic, Tia and Ye are similar. And here, these three female Ye deities. Each one they're holding in their hand. In this hand, she's holding a sprig of spruce twigs, like that. That is significant because it refers to Changing Woman, who certainly is the chief of Native America, and she came into being or born on Spruce Mountain or Chioli Peak. And so here I put this here as a symbol for her. You can see that. And on the other hand, they're each holding a rattle. Oh, that's really pretty. There's two kinds of rattles. They're hide rattles or they're gourd rattles. And certain chants really require either one or the other. If it's a gourd rattle, most likely it refers to the stars. But if it's a hide rattle, as this one is, ostensibly they would require a buffalo hide rattle for certain chant ways. And maybe this one, which is the wind way. And so I'm going to say something about that. It might be that this is made of a cowhide rather than buffalo. So when that happens to be the case, you can level it out by having paired with it, this is a buffalo tail with hair on it. So the buffalo tail gives life to the rattle and the hair gives power to the rattle. So the rattles are very ubiquitous, in the culture. Many of them are named by jewels, one kind of a jewel or other. practically inside is the dried seeds, yellow seeds, of what's called a thunder plant, Atza and something like that. And so, like that. For the wind, as the windway, the Navajos have maintained, I would say, a full inventory of all the winds that inhabit our world. And it's really, really amazing in that way. So you have wind for this, wind for that, yellow winds, blue winds, black winds. Yes, and the winds that come out, through the end of our fingers, the whirls, and all like that. And then there's two other winds. These are the winds of the close and near. Little wind. Little wind, snuggles up in the folds of our ear, and is there to warn us of dangers. And then there's another wind that's inside our ear, inside our hearing, and that this is the whistling wind. And the adage of the whistling wind, be still and hear me whistle. In English, it would be called whistling God or whistling spirit, something to that effect. And in the chantways, actually, and even on images like the one I've replicated here, a small whistle will be included, both as an image and practically. Somebody, the Tali, blows the whistle. So all that is to introduce Joy Harjo's poem. And again, since we are looking at the Indigenous Peoples Day here, this poem is very poignant for Native America. Joy Harjo, she titles it Grace. I think of wind and her wild ways the year we had nothing to lose and lost it anyway, in the cursed country of the fox. We still talk about that winter, how the cold froze imaginary buffalo on the stuffed horizon of snowbanks. The haunting voices of the starved and mutilated broke fences, crashed our thermostat dreams, and we couldn't stand it one more time. So once again, we lost a winter in stubborn memory, walked through cheap apartment walls, skated through fields of ghosts into a town that never wanted us in the epic search for grace. Like Coyote, like Rabbit, we could not contain our terror and clowned our way through a season of false midnights. We had to swallow that town with laughter so it would go down easy as honey. And one morning, as the sun struggled to break ice, and our dreams had found us with coffee and pancakes in a truck stop along Highway 80, we found Grace. I could say Grace was a woman with time on her hands, or a white buffalo escaped from memory. But in that dingy light, it was a promise of balance. We once again understood the talk of animals, and spring was lean and hungry with the hope of children and corn. I would like to say with Grace, we picked ourselves up and walked into the spring thaw. We didn't. The next season was worse. You went home to Leech Lake to work with the tribe, and I went south, and wind, I'm still crazy. I know there is something larger than memory, than the memory of a dispossessed people. we have seen it. Aho. The hunter moon is the moon of spiritual clarity and transformation. Aho. Oh yes, I got one more thing I forgot. Here I put this piece up here. It's a poster print of a painting. It's called The Invocation by Buck McCain here. And I really like it here. This is a man on a horse and he's lifting up the buffalo skull here. And it's Yuwankal in Lakota to raise it up here. So that's my offering piece, for this. And you got a buffalo down here. So once again, thank you, camera woman, for reminding me of that piece here. I have so many pieces here, so well, that's everything I could say on this note. I've known of the Navajo for a really long time. And we were with a family there in Monument Valley at one time. What's really different of the Navajo is they're called keepers of the great field. Their name actually has come from some Spanish dialect, meaning something like that. Their actual name is Dene, the Dene, and that shows that the roots of their language have come from way over there in Central Asia that are called Khotan and so forth. But what I'm really bringing out with the Navajo that still continue, amazingly for everything that's happened, is that it's systematic. So the Hatali, the chanter, is like a shaman, but the difference is the shaman is an individual who, however, comes by his or her, ways of relating, healing, and prophecy. But the Hatali actually learns a system. So it is a system, and this system gives, the cultural lore, sense, and power, or we can say, that it makes sense, of the intelligence. We're trying to do that. So with masks and sand paintings with these images, that makes these most invisible things more palatable. So that's a comment that I have, for this piece, that we're definitely concerned with the return of the buffalo, and you'll hear more from me in the coming week. Thank you. Yes.